Say it now. Say the obvious prediction right now.
The Stars are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Those of you on the audio side, 3, 2, headphone warning, 3, 2, 1. Yes! Thank goodness! Oh my, okay. All right.
I live in an apartment.
He can't scream.
Okay, I'm a lot happier now than I was about 45 minutes ago. Welcome back to Starcastic Remarks alongside Chris to my right, James to my left. My name's Ryan Chambers. This is the after-game review for Game 6 against the Colorado Avalanche. The Stars take the series like they should have 45 minutes ago by a final score of 2-1. Lots of things to talk about. 3-1. Okay, fine. We'll count it. 3-1 officially, not even unofficially. Officially. 3-1. And we could not be more jubilant right now. And thank goodness for Matt Duchene. Or I guess we should say thank goodness for Mason Marchment. Either way. Guys, how are we feeling right now? I'm a little conflicted right now because I'm jubilant in the fact that we stomped in the face of adversity. Screw you, NHL. I'll say that 1 billion times over. And at the same time, I'm still hacked off about that call. Still hacked off about it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just what an amazing hockey game. I mean, take out that horrible thing that happened in that overtime. That's a great game. But yeah, the NHL is just so relieved right now that goal, or that second Duchene goal went in, because it would have been, the NHL would be on fire right now if the Avalanche won that game. It would be mayhem for the next 2 days. So the NHL is thanking their lucky stars that Matt Duchene, of course, Matt Duchene, the two guys the Avs were booing, Jamie Benn gets the tire, Duchene gets the winner. They are thanking their lucky stars that Duchene scored that goal.
Yeah, thanks, Avalanche fans. And the whole organization, honestly.
Appreciate it, yeah.
So who said it? Who said that it was poetic justice in our family group?
I
chat?
did.
Yeah, it was. That's the perfect word I can think of.
There's so many things that came together there. It was a comeback from the Stars in the third period after Avs did it to them 4 times this year. It was, we scored a goal and it was not allowed for some reason. I still don't understand it. And then it was Duchene who scored the eventual second one. It's just like everything came together in just, you couldn't have written it better.
And Duchesne was the quote unquote reason that the first goal didn't count. So for him to score that one just makes it amazing. I mean, it really is poetic how it ended up. It could have been horrible though. We got lucky. The whole league got lucky.
It didn't matter where I looked. Everywhere online, except for like the one or two stupid people online, everyone was saying this was a good goal. And so, and I know that I just want to get that out of the way, and then we could talk about the positive stuff, okay? Because I want to end on the positive stuff. But we have to talk about it. That's still going to be a talking point coming out of this game. And thank goodness it doesn't, it's kind of a moot point. But I mean, what is Matt Duchesne supposed to do there? I mean, he did everything right. He was even within a sliver of touching the red line. He was out of the way. He gets bonked into the goal by by Cale Makar, and that's not a goal. I have never been in my 29 years of being able to remember stuff in my life seen a play like that and been so livid at the fact that could have changed the outcome of the series. I've never been more livid.
It's really cowardice. And that's what I've been saying about the officiating this entire playoffs. And that's what it's been. It's been cowardice. Anytime there's any potentially bad play that happens, they just call a 5-minute major so they can go review it. Did y'all see the game beforehand where a Boston player just skated into the back of a Panther and they called a 5-minute major to review it? I mean, these refs, the entire playoffs have been pansies, straight down to the video review. There have been numerous goalie interference challenges / reviews in these playoffs. One has been overturned. A single one has been changed from the call on the ice. Why do we have review if we're not going to use it? Why do we have review if we're just going to leave the call on the ice there? I mean, that's an atrocious call, and it's cowardice from the NHL. It's terrible. Their official explanation, I'm going to read you the little highlighted part that they give you on their official explanation. Dallas's Matt Duchesne impaired Alexander Georgiev's ability to play his position in the crease prior to the puck entering the Colorado net.
He wasn't in the crease. He didn't
Matt
touch
Duchesne
the crease.
Never entered the crease. And even when he was hit by Cale Makar into Georgiev, he's still in the crease.
I don't understand.
If
I never will.
He was allowed to put his stick between Duchesne's leg, and that's enough to be goalie interference. I mean, then let's call it that way. It has never been called that way ever in any situation. And it just changed.
They didn't want to end a series on a call like that when that was the right call. That's what it was. They wanted to continue this. And I'm not normally like this conspiracy nut when it comes to stuff like this, but how can you look at that? And even when it's called no goal on the ice, look at that and say that's not a good goal. There is absolutely nothing that Duchesne did to impair the movement of Georgiev. Nothing. There was zero. And of all things, it was Makar who shoved him into the net. What is he supposed to do?
I think the strangest thing about the whole ordeal is how they were calling overtime too. I mean, you're watching the play go on. You're seeing these wicked swinging slashes and hooks and cross checks and all this contact that is not normally allowed, but they're letting it go because they don't want the game to end on a power play, which, okay, whatever. And the tiniest bump of a goaltender is what makes it not a goal. Like, yeah. Even the style of how the game went, that is so weird that it's called that
the way the entire game was called.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Absolutely zero.
It's against the way the whole playoffs has been called, other than this game, other than this one play. I mean, we have seen goalies get cleared out of their crease and pucks go in, and it's called a goal. So it's terrible. So the review system, whatever process they use to decide what's a good goal or not, needs to be investigated and figured out how to be fixed. Because this is a failure on all levels.
What I really think it is just the unclarity of goaltender interference. And it's been the worst this year out of all of them. It's been bad for years and years and years. And we know it has been because we constantly see reviews and we're like, oh, that's goaltender interference. And then it's called a good goal. But it's all the time. They leave the gray area in there because they like to give like opinions of, okay, intentions, right? You have to get rid of the gray area. I mean, it's been terrible. Make it clear. That way we don't have tons and tons of fans, tons from every team arguing whether it's goaltender interference or not, or calling it not goaltender interference and it is, or it's everything. It's so weird.
All right. That was a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
The Gottinger was amazing.
Okay, hold on. Okay, to steal the words of Steve Dangle, best sport, worst league, not a league. NHL, you suck. Let's move on. Dallas Stars are moving on to the Western Conference Final for the second year in a row. They will be facing off against the Vancouver Canucks, who are currently up 3-2, or the Edmonton Oilers. So this is going to be a really fun series. We'll get to that in a series preview here in the next couple of days. But to discuss this game here tonight, at first I was like, okay, the Stars are playing their game in the first period, like the first 10 minutes. And then after that, Colorado started to get to their game a little bit. After that, Colorado really started pushing, and they got that goal in on their power play. And then we got the one power play we did nothing with it. And then I was a little bit worried, if I'm being completely honest. I thought for sure within the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, we got this in the bag. And I know we were getting outshot and everything like that, but we were playing our game. We were doing it the way we have been against this team, and we have been doing it fantastically. That was completely different than the way we played in overtime. The way we played in overtime was fantastic, 100% fantastic. That proved to me right there this team deserves to go on, and they were the better team. That's just kind of where I'm at. Colorado pushed in regulation. Dallas was better in overtime when it really mattered.
Yeah, and Dallas was better in the third period too, I thought.
Yeah, it really. After we were going into the third period, I was sure that the game was not going to end 1-0, but I had no clue which team was going to score next. I was so confident in the fact that someone was going to score a goal on a goaltender, but I had no clue who it was going to be yet.
Who were y'all thinking it was? Well, I guess James, you answered my question already. But James, Chris, who did you think was going to score?
I had no idea. I just wanted someone in green to score.
I didn't really care. I thought it was really cool in the third period. They put Ben and Sagan back together after the experiment of the first two periods, and I was just like, okay, it's got to be those two guys, right? Like, come on, let's get a little bit of like irony and a little bit of a nostalgia there. But still, we got to talk about Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene, and it kind of helps a little bit in the fact that he gets the goal because he's the one that causes the non-goal from Mason Marchment. And it's just poetic justice and perfect that he is allowed to put that away after they booed him this entire series.
And he also throws a heartbreaker celebration in there too, which makes it even better.
Yep. What I really love to see is I love to see that, yeah, the Dallas Stars scored in the other end or whatever, but the first thought of most of the team was to go toward Ottinger as well. Ottinger, especially after the goal, it was called a no goal, I thought for sure that we were screwed, and I thought the game was over, and it was going to be a Colorado's favor. I thought that was it, and we weren't going to be able to score. And he made some enormous stops, absolute enormous stops throughout the game. He was way better in this game than he was in Game 5.
Yeah,
and it just goes to show that he is not the same Ottinger that we saw last year. And this is the Jake Ottinger that we saw 2 years ago against the Calgary Flames. He has been rock solid for this team, especially in this series.
Yeah, and the thing that he always gets dogged for is being overly technical and relying too much on what the correct play is, and he doesn't play with enough heart. And man, that overtime, that was all heart. There was no technique in a ton of those saves. It was just do whatever you can to keep that black thing out of the net. And man, it was incredible to watch. 2 or 3 just crazy scrambles, which you never see from Otter, but you have to do it. It's the double overtime in round 2. I mean, it was amazing. And his ability to bounce back from that obviously should have been a goal. And the whole team's ability to bounce back from that too is just, that shows the depth of veteran presence on this team. as well as the great young talent that we have that's really driving us through this series. That those guys are able to look to those veterans, see how they're reacting. They're not reacting like they got fully screwed and the worst call of the playoffs, which is what happened. They didn't act like that. They acted like, all right, let's go score another. I mean, that's the strength of this hockey team right there, is that nothing can shake them. And if that couldn't shake them when they got their goal to clinch the series called back, then, I mean, what is going to shake this team?
I was just happy in the fact that I kept telling people that there was not going to be a game 7, and I was right. I was purely panicked after Marchman's goal didn't count. I was just like, I'm going to be right but wrong at the same time. So I credit to Otter. He kept my hot takes correct. And if we're looking at like a series winner, he is absolutely the biggest series winner for me. Just
if you want to know a really, really weird stat for game 6s so far.
Yay, game stats.
Every team who has been down in the series has had the lead and at some point in the game and lost it and ended up losing the game. The Hurricanes had a 3-1 lead going into the third. Boston Bruins scored in the first period. They ended up losing that. And now Avalanche had the lead going into the third period as well. And the Stars took it. Like, some weird stuff is going on.
Yeah. We'll see it. I hope we see it tomorrow night too. That'd be crazy.
Year of the comebacks. That's all I'm saying.
It's true.
Well, here's another interesting stat for you, James. And I think you'll find this extremely interesting. You might have heard it on the TNT broadcast. Do you know what the record is for home teams right now?
Bad, probably.
I've never seen this before. 30-37. 30-37 for teams at home. That, I believe, is insane. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in the playoffs.
And yet, last round, I think the home ice advantage is such a big deal to Dallas still in that game 7 against Vegas.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's you look at that record and it's like, okay, ice doesn't matter. But, I mean, it felt like it mattered in last series. So I think it still means something.
Let's move on to a couple of individual groups of players here tonight. So one of the interesting things that happens, and we finally see it in a game 6, Nils Lundkvist comes out and enters Alexander Petrovic, which a lot of people over in the chat are talking about. I didn't see very much of him tonight, which is good. So that means he did his job, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do as a number 6 defenseman. I thought he had a couple of good plays that I particularly noticed. There was one shift where he was dynamic and making sure he got the puck out of his own zone, and it happened twice. So I thought he had a really good game today, and honestly, I think the reason why a lot of people are talking about him is because he was able to step in and take away those minutes from Nils Lundkvist, but also take even if it's just a couple of extra shifts off of those other top 5 guys. That makes a world of difference for the Stars' ability to play the way they do right now.
Yeah, he was like a big right-handed Joel Hanley.
So one of the interesting things that they talked about, and I didn't think Petrovic was going to get in. I thought it was going to be Derek Pouliot. But Chris, one of the reasons you kind of said it, he's right-handed, he's big, he's huge. And that's two of the 3 opposite things from Nils Lundkvist. And that's exactly why Derek Pouliot did not get in the game tonight. The other reason is Derek Pouliot hasn't played a game since early April, and Petrovic was just in a playoff battle with the Texas Stars. So he's played recently. So, I mean, good move by Jim Nill there. And it was fantastic move to give those top 5 guys just a little bit more of a break. Now, to jump on Pete DeBoer a little bit, but also give him a little bit of credit at the same time, the experiment of the first 2 periods obviously did not work. When I first saw the lineup, I thought, okay, I could see how where the thought process is on this and why it went this way. It did not work. But, credit to him. He realized it in the third period and switched it up again. And then we saw Ben and Sagan together. We saw the really exciting lineup that we've been dying to see for a long time. And Robo, Stankoven and Johnston, that the line, the number one line of the future. That was really cool. So let me get your thoughts on that real quick.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit too late, but I mean, I'm glad he did it, and he made changes that I wouldn't have thought of. I didn't think of doing of Ben Sagan and Dodonov, but I mean, that killed. That was great. And so it was a little later than I would have liked, but he did it perfectly. That's exactly what they needed. Even Mason Marchment and Duchesne playing together was perfect too. It was a great shakeup. And those are lines we haven't seen all year. So that's just gut instinct from that guy.
Yeah, it's crazy how well this team plays together, just everyone. I mean, you just even last game when Hintz went down, I mean, we were just rolling whoever with anyone, and it was just flowing seamlessly. This team seems to just know what every other player is going to do, regardless of what line they end up playing on.
Now, the one thing I do kind of want to talk about as well, which is a jump off of that, James, you mentioned it. When Hintz is out of the lineup, even though he has not had as dominant a playoff run as he did last year, it showed tonight that him not being in the lineup completely throws off the chemistry of all the lines.
Yep.
It completely throws off everything. And the synergy just wasn't there with the lines that they had, which you think it would, because you would think Duchesne as a number one center would work in a pinch. I mean, he's shown before he's been able to do that. So I don't really know moving forward if Hintz is still out of the lineup, which I hope he's not, what the lines will look like. If you stick with the lines that you ended game 6 with, or if you completely find something different or whatever. But the one thing I do know about this is the Stars have rotated lines like numerous times. They've had different combinations when different players have gone out. Fox and Marchment were out for a while. Now we're seeing Rope Hintz out for 2 games, 2 of the biggest games of the playoff run, and they still find a way to win. And that's credit to the players, that's credit to the coaching staff, that's credit to Jake Ottinger and net, to the defense, everything. Everything is lining up the way that it should. And it goes back to the 100% quote that everyone says all the time: good teams find a way to win. We're doing it right now, and hopefully that continues.
This game is the definition of that. They found a way to win this one. I mean, they scrapped for it. Both teams did. That's what made this game so great. Both teams played so good all game long. That was so much fun to watch.
And then the overtime was super scrappy from both teams too. And
Yep.
It ends kind of how you expect it to: a weird scrum in front. It pops out and it's in the back of the net.
Yep. That's just a great playoff hockey game. I mean, that's a classic.
And it furthers my belief in this team that they can get it done against anybody. They just beat the past 2 Stanley Cup winners in their last 2 series, and they're only halfway through.
No one has ever done that. By the way, no team has ever done that.
And that was one thing. I don't listen to the Spit and Chicklets podcast all that much, but I did see a short reel from them, and it was Biz talking about the fact that, if the Dallas Stars win the Stanley Cup, this could be seen as the absolute hardest playoff run that any team has ever had to go through. Because not only this, but we're going to, it didn't matter which team we go up against. Like if Edmonds, if you get Vancouver, first off, you're probably going to get Demko back, which is going to be nuts.
We can't beat him.
And we have not had good regular season.
Even if you don't, Sheilov has been amazing.
Sheilov has been amazing. I have watched him. He's been
winning.
Fantastic. And then, and then if Edmonton wins, then you get to face two of the even bigger superstars than Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and Connor McDavid and Leandro Draisaitl.
Yeah, you just get better Nathan McKinnon.
Not fair. That better Nathan McKinnon.
And McKinnon and Makar, someone who I want to point out for this series, actually. I mean, they're in the games that we won, McKinnon and Makar, how many points do you think both of them have in the 4 losses?
2.
I'm going to say 3.
2. each had 1 assist in separate
Dang
games.
it.
Both of them were held to no points in 3 games of the series. That's
That is
incredible. That's
And the fact-
absolutely incredible. McKinnon
mean-
scored like 140 points.
With the way that both of those guys were playing tonight, it is a miracle one didn't go in. I mean, they were all over there. Every time I looked up, Nathan McKinnon had the puck and was skating through the neutral zone. It was terrifying.
One of the things I do want to talk about too is how the Stars played defensively against this offensive juggernaut. And
Insane.
even though they don't have the same depth that the Stars have, they still have really good offensive players. And you could look at this one stat in particular. In the series against the Jets, they only had 5 games. They averaged 5.6 goals per game in that series. Even in the loss, they scored a crud ton of goals.
They scored 6
In
goals
this series, they scored 2.45 goals per game against the Dallas Stars in a 6-game series.
You want to know what's a little crazier too? The Avs have only been held to 1 goal at home since January 1st, 5 times now, and the Stars have 3 of them in this one series.
That's crazy. And the fact that this team, this wasn't the identity of this team at the end of December. This team was not a defensive team. This was a go-go offense team, spread out the scoring, and outscore your defensive deficiencies. And this is something that they learned as the season went on, especially in the second half. They mastered it and became one of the premier defensive teams in the league on top of their ability to score goals. And that's just really impressive from the coaching staff and from that entire team to figure out how to lock down that defensively. And then, of course, you throw in a Chris Tanev at the end there, and you go from a great defensive team to a elite defensive team just with that guy.
And you read my mind completely there, Chris. That was going to be my next talking point here, in the fact that Chris Tanev has been an absolute monster. And I know we've talked about him again, probably for the 4th or 5th time in a row when we talk about these AGRs, but he absolutely deserves it. He does it every single time. He goes up against the what James?
How many block shots do you think Chris Tanev has tonight?
Oh, this will be fun. 22.
He has 9. The next
I
closest is Thomas Harley with 7. I mean, he has 9 block shots and led the whole game. I mean,
there's only one defender that I was comfortable taking McKinnon through the neutral zone with, and it was Tanev. I mean, McKinnon even burned Miro one time tonight. I mean, the only person who was able to take care of him routinely was Chris Tanev, and he did it all series long. I mean, insane series by that guy. He's on an insane playoffs.
I know some of y'all are talking about wanting to re-sign Tanev and stuff like that, but let's just enjoy the playoff series right now, okay? We're in the Western Conference Finals.
Not
okay?
there yet.
Well, we're not there yet, okay?
Worry about it when we worry about it.
We're not saying the O word yet. It's not the O word for us. So, but anyways, yeah, for the Avalanche it is. Enjoy your golf times, your tee times. Go for it. But seriously, he has completely changed the Stars' ability to play defense. And again, another saying that goes without saying it too many times: offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And we have now beaten the last 2 Stanley Cup winners and back-to-back series in the first and second round. So, I mean, you can't do any better or get a harder back-to-back playoff series than that.
You know what? Screw it. Give me McDavid. I want McDavid too. I want him all.
No,
I want him.
No. I
want them all.
I'm not gonna do the whole we want Florida thing like Toronto.
Imagine we go Eichel, McKinnon, McDavid, Tkachuk.
And Tkachuk is the worst of the 4. That's the funny part.
Yeah, it's like a video game. You got to build up to the final boss.
That's ridiculous. That's hilarious. Okay. All right. Well, anything else we need to mention?
It's kind of a lot of chickens and eggs right there.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else we need to mention before we do biggest winner, biggest loser?
It's 1:41 a.m.
Yes, it is 1:41 a.m. It doesn't feel like it right now because we're running off of adrenaline. Yeah, seriously, I would not. We would have had to push it off
Sorry, weekend
till.
workers.
Yes, I'm sorry, weekend workers, that you're missing it, but you get to hear it in the morning, which is probably what you're doing now. All right, biggest winner, biggest losers, guys.
Jake Ottinger is the biggest winner. 3 1-goal games is what you said, James?
Yep.
Against the Colorado
home.
Avalanche.
At the Colorado Avalanche home. Best home team in the regular season, by the way.
I mean, the Stars played good defense. Yeah. But Jake Ottinger to have the worst game of his playoffs followed by the best. I mean, that is classic Jake Ottinger. You knew that was going to happen. You saw that goal from Makar go in that game, and you're like, man, he's about to have the game of his year. And that's exactly what happened. And he stoned him. Jake Ottinger, biggest winner, phenomenator. Play the song.
Am I allowed to play the Phenomenator song on here?
I
don't
have
think
no
so.
idea. I would
I don't
say
want to.
no.
I don't want to try it, but I kind of do.
Everyone go play Phenomenator on your own time.
Yes, go do
Homework.
it. We'll sing it in our heads. James, who you got?
Biggest winner's Matt Duchene. I mean, it's the game winner. You can't not give it to him. And the heartbreaker, Selly, and the fact that he came from this team. He left them because he wanted to go deeper in the playoffs and couldn't find it. He's finally found it with the Stars, and he's just a couple of steps now. Halfway there. That's the stupid thing. We're halfway there. Okay?
Try Texas.
Try Texas. I was gonna give mine to Matt Duchene as well because I think he deserves it, and it's just I keep saying your words, James, poetic justice, but I'll give it to the defensive juggernaut and Chris Tanev. Came on this team, has completely changed the dynamic of the top 6 on the defense for the Stars. We're now playing a style that we would not have been able to play back in December. And now we're able to do it. And we have shown that we can play multiple different ways to beat multiple different teams. So it's, and he's a big reason for that. Like without him, the Stars don't get past the Colorado Avalanche, in my opinion. I truly believe
the
that.
whole team, man. I mean, one huge thing in this game that if you want to show depth, look at the time on ice among forwards. There is not a single Stars forward who has 28 minutes of time on ice. There are 3 Avs forwards who have well over 30 minutes of ice time.
McKinnon, Rantanen, and Drouin.
The other one is actually Lehkonen.
Oh, that makes sense.
Drouin was close, though. He was 30 seconds from it.
Wow.
And that just shows you what that series was right there. Can the Dallas Stars beat the top 5 players from the Colorado Avalanche? And
yes.
They did.
The answer is yes.
But barely.
Okay. I think we can all agree on who the biggest loser is here tonight. Screw you, NHL. Screw you, Toronto. Okay? Seriously. They're the biggest losers here tonight.
It is the most cowardly call I've ever seen happen. And in a playoff full of cowardice from the league and the officials, that is the cherry on top. There needs to be, I mean, the NHL needs to look inward on this playoffs and figure out their crap because this has been awful. It has been truly terrible. The refs need to make calls and they need to not be afraid to make the correct call because it's not convenient. I mean, it's ridiculous.
If I'm giving a real biggest loser for the series, I'm giving it to McKinnon and Makar. I mean, the 4 losses, they both only got 1 assist. That is, your team is built on those 2 players, and they got shut down and shut out. And again, and again, and again, and again. I mean, that you got to score. I don't know what everyone thought was going to happen going into the series, but
keep taking those
guys down. Game's over.
Keep taking those big paychecks, though, boys. We appreciate you keeping your roster thin.
Well, the other thing about that, though, is, you know, the only way they were able to score in game 1 and game 5 is how? On the power play. That was about it. I mean, you take, you know, power plays out of the question for the Avalanche. I mean, what do the top guys for the Avalanche have? I would be really interested to know that stat. But regardless, yeah, we can tweet about it later. James will let me know here in a little while. So, okay, guys, Anything else?
No,
No?
Nope.
just win.
Yep. I'm finally getting tired. The adrenaline's wearing off.
I'm
But you know
not.
what?
Me
James
neither.
is like, I'm the night owl over here. I'm still going.
I need a drink.
Okay, guys, thank you all so much for staying up with us. It's 1:46 in the morning at the time of this recording. Ardell, I saw your comment from earlier. To give you an answer, there have been 207 people at the top who have been listening live here tonight. Y'all are insane. Y'all are a hardcore group of fans. We love y'all, and we really appreciate all the support that we are getting. There's even more of you who are listening afterwards. Our last episode, it's the highest downloaded episode that we ever got. Was Game 5, which is nuts. And I can only see it going higher for this one today, guys. It's going to be absolutely nuts. But anyways, go and check out sarcasticremarks.com. That's the website. It's the first place you can listen to the podcast on the audio side. And as always, along with Chris, along with James, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening. Whenever you guys are listening, we'll see you guys for a series preview against whoever. We don't know yet. Chris, take us out.
I'm not even going to say anything clever. Eat it, NHL. GG, boys.